Hey everybody, how's it going? I hope you're having a lovely Monday morning. Today I want to go over yet another nail in the coffin of this horribly false argument that is used regarding safety and security when it comes to why you should not be able to service the products that you own. And today I'd like to focus a little bit more on the medical device industry. One of the things that I brought up when talking about this company called Future Motion that makes this one-wheel electric skateboard is that when a company says that you can't do the repairs yourself because we care about your safety and security, we're the only ones who can do it, rather than defend myself and try and prove, as if the burden of proof is on me to demonstrate that I can do a safe and secure repair, I think the burden of proof should be on you as the person who brought up safety and security to prove that you ever cared about safety and security. And one of the things that I've gone over on this channel is that just fundamentally is not the case in our modern society. When it comes to motor vehicles, somebody like Zach from Jerry Rig Everything can literally rip everything out of a Hummer and then make it electric. And all he has to do before he can drive at 65 miles an hour on the highway is give the DMV $10. No inspection necessary. When it comes to the one-wheel electric skateboard, you have a connector on it that will actually burn on the inside because they used what is, in my opinion, the wrong connector for the rated amperage of what that is going to be doing. And they have not recalled this item to this date, nor have they recalled the one-wheel GT that goes like crazy because, in my opinion, they don't care about safety and security. They care about money and control. When we talk about Apple and they talk about how insecure it may be to go to an independent repair shop, I haven't heard of independent repair shops leaking customer sex tapes and uploading them to their Facebook accounts. That seems to be something that's happening at the Authorized Repair Center. And when it comes to medical devices, I'd like to start demonstrating this as well. We made a push in Illinois to try to get some sort of medical right to repair bill pushed, and it didn't go as well as I thought. There's that safety and security argument that keeps showing up. And I can understand how even somebody who's a bit pro right to repair can say, listen, Lewis, I support you being able to replace a battery in a smartphone, but I don't know if I want you fixing my ventilator. And, well, point taken, because the manufacturer is going to be the only one in that case that cares about safety and security when it comes to respirators, ventilators, pacemakers, and everything else. So one of the things that I think is really interesting to bring up is when they don't. And also just kind of remind you of some of the notes from the FDA that came out 3.5 years ago that I've shared on this channel. So this is about a Philips respirator. It says, Philips Respironics recalls certain continuous and non-continuous ventilators, including CPAP and BiPAP, due to risk of exposure and debris of chemicals. Now, the absolute TLDR of this is that there is some sort of foam and material inside of it that is supposed to be sound dampening as well as vibration dampening. And unfortunately, it seems like in some cases this may or may not make its way into the airway, which means you're inhaling it. Now, again, I have no problem with sound dampening material. I have a lot of it in my apartment. I have no problem with sound dampening material being in my apartment. I'm not a big fan of it being in my lungs, so I can understand why this recall was done. And there was a Class 1 recall to label this as faulty that happened in July of last year. Oh, naturally, because this is a device where there's actual serious concerns about people's safety if it is continuously sold this way or just left out there in the wild for people to continue using. I'm confident they would have replaced every single one of them immediately because they're a company that makes a lot of money. They have the means, they have the resources, they have the ability, and it affects people's lives. No. So if you take a look over here, the FDA has slammed Philips's inadequate efforts to notify patients and suppliers of the CPAP recall. So I'll just read the highlighted section here that is of most interest to me. The FDA has heard the frustration expressed by patients and durable medical equipment suppliers who are unaware of the recall and have received insufficient information on their next steps regarding the recall process, says Jeff Shuren, MD Director of the FDA Center for Devices and Radiological Health. Taking this action today enables the FDA to mandate that Philips Respironics improve its communication about the recall and the serious risk posed by the foam used in the recalled products with patients and the public, and to ensure that individuals who rely on these essential devices are receiving the important information they need from the company. There are a lot of people who sell this and a lot of people who are using this that don't know that there was ever a recall. And it seems to me that it seems like a slow walk of that particular recall, which is really, really lame. And now I've read things like this before, and I've kind of wondered, when put in this type of situation, what would I do if there was a lot of money at stake for something like this with a really low chance of something going wrong? That happened to me several months ago. There was a recall that we had to do that cost us approximately $22,000. And before we had any knowledge as to whether or not the vendor was going to refund us a dime of our money or compensate us in any way, shape, or form for selling us faulty products, we immediately made a list in our ticket status and emailed and called every single one of those customers, told them that we would pay for their shipping to bring the device back to us, pay the shipping to get it back to them, to inspect it and replace the affected materials. In all of it, only one of them actually wound up having a problem. We still sought out to replace over 300 of them anyway, even though this is going to cost us over $20,000. Why? Because that's just part of what we signed up for. Again, we get to make money when we do things that are right, but we also lose money when something screws up or something's done wrong. And I get it. Everybody wants to make money. I'm not mad at these companies for wanting to make money. I'm going to disappoint the r/anti-work people that frequent my comment section from time to time, but I am a capitalist and I'm a happy capitalist. However, the reason that I am a happy capitalist is because I try to make money off of actually adding value to the world. I want the world to be better off as a result of what I've built or what we've done or the work that we do, the repairs that we do, the educational materials that we put out there. We want to be your best option. That is how we want to make money. We want to make money in a way that allows us to sleep at night. We don't want to be your only option, or we don't want to be the option that may or may not get pieces of foam stuck in your lungs that you're not really aware of until afterwards because we didn't want to pay to replace your stuff. And this is part of what is aggravating. It's when a company goes out of their way to say that they care about safety and security and pontificate on it over and over again, like the medical device industry has anytime a medical device right to repair bill comes out. Yet when there's a recall that's almost a year old because little bits and chemicals of foam may be getting into people's lungs, it's just crickets. It's just crickets. And the FDA has to step in order for you to actually inform people that what you sold may seriously harm them. And this is something that we go over a lot on this channel when it comes to the medical device industry, even though this is not necessarily my particular niche field. Here I did an interview with somebody where he's talking about one instance where you have, let's say that when you go to a hospital or doctor's office, you got that bed that can move up, down, this, that. There's a little motor in it that dies from time to time. It's about $500, but they can't get the motor and replace it. They have to buy an entirely new operating table at $30,000 to $35,000. What's particularly interesting to me in that interview is how nervous he sounds. He sounds like somebody has a gun to his head, and if he says one wrong word, he's going to lose his job, his contracts, everything, get in all sorts of trouble. It was particularly surprising to hear the manner in which he spoke in that interview. In this interview that I did in 2018 and uploaded to the channel in 2020, we were speaking to people who do endoscope repair, who were talking about all the problems that they have in their industry and how similar they are to people that are trying to fix cell phones and laptops and everything else, and how this is going to increase healthcare costs for a hospital. When you have a $35,000 part, $35,000 item, and instead of paying $500 to $1,000 to fix it, you just have to buy a new one at $35,000. Guess where that bill ends up? Again, we have large arguments in America about whether insurers should be footing the bill, individuals should foot the bill, the government should foot the bill. But at the end of the day, a big question that does need to be asked, why is the bill so high to begin with? And a lot of it has to do with this. Now, in 2018, the FDA actually did come out with a paper on the quality, safety, and effectiveness of servicing medical devices. And I will link it down below for you for anybody who is curious. To be clear, this does not come from repair.org or fighttorepair.org or US PIRG. This comes from the FDA themselves. So it's not like this is from some biased pro-repair source or some activist dude in an Under Armour shirt on YouTube. The currently available objective evidence is not sufficient to conclude whether or not there's widespread public health concern related to servicing by third-party servicers of medical devices that would justify imposing different regulatory requirements at this time, and the continued availability of third-party entities to service and repair medical devices is critical to the functioning of the U.S. healthcare system. Rather, the objective evidence indicates many OEMs and third-parties entities provide high-quality, safe, and effective servicing of medical devices, which is the exact opposite of what you'll hear from the manufacturers. At the end of the day, in my opinion, this is not about safety, nor is it about security. It's about control, and it's about money. It's about being able to control what you do with your personal property, whether you're a business, whether you're a hospital, or whether you're just a dude that wants to fix their own cell phone. And it's about being able to make more money when you buy something new versus fix what you have. Or in this case, it's about being able to retain more money when you don't have to provide warranty service or recall service to people that may have a product that might damage their lungs or kill them. This has always been about money and control, not safety and security. And I'm going to continue citing these examples. Again, whether it is a one wheel where rather than actually recall the device that has a connector in it that will burn up when you charge it at the rated charge voltage, whether we're talking about something that goes, whether we're talking about any one of Apple's numerous recalls that they have slow walked or tried to get around, whether we're talking just any one of these little medical equipment mishaps, it's not about safety and security. It's about money and it's about control. And it always has been. And I suggest that anybody looking at this stuff, rather than say, well, what makes your repairs safe or secure, that you look at the manufacturer and go, show me how much you care about safety and security. If you care about safety and security, why do you sell devices where foam breaks apart in them and may end up in people's lungs? Why do you sell a device where the charge connector breaks off the board? Why do your authorized repair centers upload customer sex tapes to Facebook? Just saying. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. That's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something. You may have noticed that I haven't been editing these videos recently, by the way, and that's because I lost my DaVinci Resolve dongle. In Windows, you can use the free version of DaVinci Resolve for editing, and it works great. On Linux, you get virtually no codec support to the point where it's practically useless unless you get the paid version. And honestly, DaVinci Resolve is an amazing piece of software. Vegas used to crash on me 3 to 5 times a day. DaVinci Resolve has not crashed on me once since I started using it 2 years ago, so frankly, I just thought they deserved my $300. So I paid for it, and I got a dongle. Unfortunately, I have misplaced that dongle. And as amazing as DaVinci Resolve is, I just don't have it in me to pay again for a piece of software that I already paid for, but I also can't get another dongle simply because I lost it, because if that were the case, then people would just get infinite numbers of these dongles from Blackmagic, and they would make the entire model they have would kind of go away. But I just haven't been able to wrangle it out of me at this point in time to pay $300 for a dongle that I know, I'm confident is like, it's in my laundry somewhere, it's in the backseat of my car, it's like sitting inside my recliner or some shit. So I'm going to continue looking for this thing before I spend $300 on another dongle. But if you notice that my videos start getting edited again soon, it'll mean that I found it. If not, then it means that I haven't found it. I honestly wouldn't mind paying for that piece of software again if they do one thing. In Linux, allow VST plugins to work, or at the very least, allow something like Carla to work so that you can use plugins other than what's built into DaVinci Resolve. The audio plugins are not that bad, but the loudness limiter, it's kind of horrible. And some of the plugins, the audio plugins in DaVinci Resolve are just not as good as what's available elsewhere. So it would be great to be able to use those plugins like you can in other pieces of software in Linux, like Carla or Ardour or any of those. You can't use any of those in Resolve. It would be great. I would pay for 2 dongles if you added that. Anyway, that's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something. See you all in the next video. Bye now.